Hi, welcome back to the Lumbermill Devlog series. Since the last episode, a number of things have changed. The main feature I implemented this week was the ability to control time. Before I get onto that though, I've got some pretty exciting news. The game now has a Steam page. I've added a link to that in the description, so if you want the game when it comes out, definitely add it to your wishlist. Anyway, I decided I need to get to work on actually writing the soundtrack for the game, and I needed a plan to do that. So I started by writing down a list of words to describe different feelings the soundtrack should evoke, and also some words that link to the whole Lumbermill theme. I then created a really simple generator, which takes two of the words from the adjective list, and one from the noun list, combines them, and outputs the result to the console. Each of the lines here is a different soundtrack theme, which I can use as a basis for different tracks. I then got to work writing the track in the background to this video, which came from the theme Fresh Rustic Factory. Right, so the next thing I decided to do was adjust the sprites I drew last week of the maple trees. Whenever I looked at those sprites, I just thought they looked too much like Easter eggs and not enough like trees. So I reshaped the trees and added some leaves to make them a little more tree-like. This is how they look in the game, and I'm really pleased with them now. Okay, so with that done, I began work on the time control feature. This will allow the player to speed things up if they're waiting for a particular event to occur or just want a change of pace. The obvious place to start was designing the speed button. With that drawn, it was quite simple to get the game to speed up the movements of objects by multiplying their move speed by the time scale. The problem though was that if an object was already in transit when the speed button was pressed, the change wouldn't happen immediately, only on the next movement. There would also sometimes be some weird stuttering where the object would move twice in quick succession. I tried a few different approaches to fix this. The first was to add a variable to stop the movement being triggered multiple times in succession. This sort of worked, but I discovered that spamming the speed button would cause the machines to process items at super speed. I faffed around a bit more before settling on a pretty subpar result that didn't speed up animations or anything. I moved on from that for a moment to have a break and create a pause button. Moving on to the pause button proved to be a very lucky decision. I'll explain why in a minute. Using my original technique for time control, pressing the pause button would pause the game, but only once a movement was complete. I realised then that I needed a better solution, and suddenly remembered that Unity has built-in time controls that affect everything from animations to movement. I was simultaneously relieved and shocked at my stupidity. Sorry to say that I scrapped most of the work I'd just done on time control and just added Unity's timescale function instead, which worked absolutely beautifully. For the rest of the week, some family from New Zealand came to visit, so I spent most of that time in London and at theme parks, which was pretty great fun. So with the time control problem cleaned up pretty elegantly thanks to Unity, I moved on to designing the pause menu. I started by creating an orange 9 slice for the interface. Based on the game's other interfaces, I then went on to create the layout for the pause menu. Once I'd settled on the layout, I decided I didn't like the orange colour and switched it to green to match the Lumbermill interface. The game has been missing pop-up alerts though, and this would be the perfect time to implement them, as the game needs to ask the player if they'd like to save the game when they exit. I created a little animation for the pop-up, so it literally pops up onto the screen, which looked like this. The problem with that though was there was no way to cancel, so I added the ability to add a third button when creating the pop-up. Everything in the pop-up is customizable through code, including what the buttons say, do, and how many of them there are. With that added, the pop-ups worked well, and looked like this. If you'd like to follow the game a bit more closely, the Discord now has almost 100 people in it, so it'd be cool to see you there and reach that goal soon. That's all for this week. If you enjoyed the video, remember to hit that subscribe button. Cheers for watching.